Hello, everyone. Wishing you a very good afternoon. Thank you for being here with us. I hope you're well and safe. These strange times have brought huge changes in our life, in the way we live and work. For many of us, the past year has been extremely difficult due to the ongoing pandemic. However, it has been far more challenging for most businesses, including photo finishing and photography. When the lockdown was imposed, many photographers across the country found it difficult to overcome the challenges of working in a pandemic stricken environment. This has led to a significant decline in the revenues and annual earnings for both the lab owners and wedding photographers. To address some of these concerns, HP Indigo presents India's very first virtual photo summit, Colors of India 2021, supported by Redington and Better Photography. Apart from this first masterclass session, the seminar from this virtual photo summit will take place in four different languages over the course of the next month. On 6th May in English, on 11th May in Marathi, on 15th May in Gujarati, and on the 18th May in Hindi at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Better Photography's Facebook and YouTube pages and website. For today's session, we have five esteemed speakers. Mr. Ashok Pahwa, Commercial Business Manager, HP Indigo Digital Press, India. Mr. Apadrai A, Country Manager, HP Indigo Digital Presses. K. Madhavan Pillai, Chief Editor of Better Photography. And Stephen Chow, Regional Solution Architect Manager, HP Indigo Digital Press, APJ Region, and Edson Chan, Team Manager, Center of Excellence. Each of them will share their insights with you. Towards the end of the session, a moderate set of questions will be presented to the panelists. Our first speaker of the day is K. Madhavan Pillai, who will delve into the significance of prints and colors in the Indian photo industry.
Thank you so much, Nilofer. Thank you for that very warm welcome. And thank you for everyone for attending this program. The HP Colors of India is the very first virtual photo summit to happen in multiple languages in India. And you're all very, very welcome to share our learnings with us. Of course, this is a very difficult time for all of us. The pandemic has stricken us particularly hard. The situation in India is not a very happy situation right at this point of time. In fact, just earlier today, a very close photographer friend of mine, who is a very, very good wedding photographer, called me up to say that he's lost all his business, and what needs to be done next. He's about to sell his equipment to fund, the next few months of his survival. Well, let me just leave you with this idea that this COVID situation that we are in currently is a wave. It's a wave, and because it's a wave, it will go up, and there is a point where it will come down. And we fully expect that this coming down of the wave is going to occur in the next 1 month or at the most 2 months. And by then, situations should start getting normal. So it is very important for us not to panic. It is very important for us to ensure that we have everything in place for survival during this difficult time. And at the same time, we must also look at the situation, especially in our country, and we must acknowledge the heroes of the day, which are the doctors, the nurses, the policemen, the soldiers, the everybody who's doing their bit, and we also should do our bit at this very point in time. While we are at home and safe, which is why we are not wearing masks, even those who are in the center of excellence, who are going to be speaking to you a little later in this program today, are not going to be wearing masks because they are in a safe environment, in a completely safe zone. It is important for us to realize that we must do our bit to ensure that this virus does not spread and keep us and our families safe. So, with that, let me take you forward with 10 ideas that I have. These are 10 ideas that are important, especially considering today's situation and today's times. So, number one, let me begin with number one. India is a land of colors. It is a land of imagination, emotion, and celebration. Just imagine, okay, will photography ever stop in a country like India? Even today, as a nation, as a country, we are contributing the most number of photographs in the world. which is going up on Facebook, which is going up on Instagram, which is going up on social media. India is the number one contributor of photographs around the world, which is several billion photos, literally coming on a daily basis. It doesn't stop in India. Photography does not stop in India at any given point of time. So just imagine this: we have a festival of colors in India. We have a festival of lights in India. Okay, now these are the times when photographers, we all remove our cameras, we all remove our cell phones and make pictures. And it doesn't stop. Whether there's a pandemic, whether there's no pandemic, things don't stop. You know, we have almost 40 national holidays in India. There was a running joke when we were back in school. How many days of school actually do we really need to attend in a full working year? And you'll be surprised to know that most students have to attend maybe 150 or 160 days out of 365 days, because the rest are all holidays, festivals, national holidays, 21 days for Diwali and Christmas, 50 days of summer break. So so the idea is, let's not panic. India is a land of photography. India is a land of colors and lights and emotions, mostly emotions. Now, speaking of emotions, which brings me to point number two. The times are very difficult because the wedding photography segment is affected the most. But let us also understand that the wedding photography segment is also the most recession proof. Now, what does this really mean, recession proof? Every time there is a situation, there is a recession, there is a pandemic of this nature, the industry bounces back. The wedding photography industry, the wedding industry as a whole, is a huge, gargantuan, giant industry, and it is not going to stop working. Which brings me to point number three. Okay, weddings might become smaller. Okay, at the same time, they become more important and they become more intimate. Now, just listen to the word intimate. Okay, um, when you have only 50 people in a wedding. Okay, right now in Mumbai, it's 25 people who are allowed at a wedding. A lot of weddings have been postponed because of this reason. But 50 people at a wedding, 100 people at a wedding, uh, you know, what does it really mean for weddings in a country where 1,000 people and 1,500 people and 5,000 people are actually quite common? It just means that the wedding itself is going to become much, much more important. It is going to become a significant a place where a lot of emotions are invested. It is going to become a place where the photographer needs to become more intimate with the whole group. All the photography needs to change. The photographer needs to think in terms of, how do I also become in tune with the intimacy of today's wedding. Okay, and that is one of the big secrets of the successful photographers today. You must have heard that even in today's day, even with the pandemic, even in the let's say, last 4 or 5 months, there have been photographers who have charged 8 lakhs and 10 lakhs or 4 lakhs and 5 lakhs for a single wedding assignment with just 50 people. How do they do that? Now, this is a secret that I think that all of you need to think about as wedding photographers. It is something that will really help you understand that it is not so much the size of the wedding, but it is about the intimacy of the wedding. The percentage of an individual family's wealth that is invested into a wedding is not changing much. It is becoming even bigger, even more lavish, even more special. Okay, now how do you specialize in a special environment is the question that wedding photographers should ask. I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, that is my point number three. you know um, Point number four: some things don't change. For example, what is it that can be taken away from the wedding? At the end of the wedding, once the cake is cut, once the rings are exchanged, once the wine is drunk and the food is eaten, once all of that has happened, once the moments have gone, once the evening is done with, okay, once the mother-in-law and the father-in-law and the bride and the groom and everybody's sitting and relaxing, what is taken away from the wedding? It is only the photography. It is only the pictures. Okay, only those little moments that are captured on the camera or on video. It is these moments that can be retained in physical form as a memory. Okay, when I say physical form, I mean in the form of the wedding album, in the form of prints, in the form of that pen drive, in the form of those images that are there on the hard drive, the stuff that is there online. It is the only thing that can be taken away. These are the memories. But let me again come back to the question with point number five: viral videos of today versus the print. What is the difference? viral videos. Today, during the lockdowns that we are all experiencing, and all the time that we're spending at home, I think, especially parents, especially the older generation, you'll find them glued to their cell phones with all these viral videos that are coming out. Do you really save those viral videos? Do you really, keep it in mind that, okay, let me take this viral video and put it into this folder so that I don't delete it? Do you really do that? These Everything that goes viral today is very momentary. Just remember that. Okay, viral is viral for a moment, and then it's that the viral nature of it ceases. It's exactly like the viral part of our pandemic. It goes up, it comes down, and then it's over. But what remains behind, okay, is the print. In a wedding, okay, the print is what makes a huge difference, because the thing about between a viral video and a viral photo and a print is that a print remains in the fringes of your vision. Okay, you look at it again and again. You spend far more time with a print than you ever will with a viral video. You might spend 1 minute with a viral video. You will spend, in a lifetime, you might spend 3 or 4 hours, or maybe even more, with a print. That is a huge difference between a print and a physical, something in a physical form which you can hold and that you can touch. That is very, very critical to, to understand that difference between viral videos, viral, something that is viral, and something that is very long term, that has very close value to your heart. That's the difference. And I believe that the print will gain new meaning in the post pandemic world. We are spending so much of time. Let me come to point number six. This is point number six: screen time versus print time. How much of time do you really spend on the screen? And how much of that screen time do you really remember? This is screen time versus print time. Let me bring up across another aspect, um, which where I again come to point number seven, um, where for wedding photographers, even today, as a traditional aspect of the wedding photography, the printed album has still is is still the final deliverable. In most cases, in 99% of the cases, a photographer or the family is going to ask for a printed album. And this is still the case. Of course, there is a shift. The printed album, the traditional old albums, okay, that we usually see, that we still enjoy a lot, and where we get our very beautiful moments from. There's a shift from those albums to coffee table books. Coffee table books is the new future of the album. It is already there. The best photographers, the most successful photographers are already harnessing this, and these are new opportunities. Small to large, fantastic range in terms of sizes available. But that is not just it. Okay, there is also something called telling the story. Okay, that brings me to point number nine. I'm going fast with this because I want to give enough time for my other speakers to talk. But point number nine: from selecting images to telling the story. Telling the story is now the new mantra. Storytelling. Okay, it is not about which images is going to go into the album, but it is also about how is this image going to tell a story inside a coffee table book. What are the words that are going to be used there? What are the memories that are going to be written down there? And so it's not just the photograph; it's also the copy behind it. It is also how one photo moves to the next photo, moves to the next photo. You're building a story in a coffee table book. I think that is the new order of business today, and photographers are willing to harness the power of this. Because remember, when we initially spoke about us being a country of emotions, us being a country where weddings are bound to happen, and that wedding becomes more important and more intimate, and thereby a story needs to be told. And that is where I come to this final part of my talk, which is the 10th point. The 10th point is that when you deliver an album that is long lasting. Now, the thing is, let us understand one thing, that when you have images on digital media and digital form, okay, whether it is your phone, whether it is in a laptop or a pen drive, it's got to be on some sort of drive. And what is the real lifespan of the drive? What is the real lifespan? I mean, if you think about a hard drive, you're talking about a lifespan of a maximum of 3 to 5 years. After which, if you don't back it up, re-back it up, okay, you're going to lose everything. It is very easy to lose things on the digital medium. Okay, this is something that as digital photographers, we have backups of backups of backups, and then these backups need to be redone and refreshed every few months. And not only do they need refreshing every few months, you have to actually maintain every few years. You have to entirely change the backup media. And this is a difficult thing for all photographers. Okay, but whereas when you have a print that lasts, let's say, 200 years, a single print that can last 200 years, wherever that print might be, wherever that album might be. Okay, it might be inside a cupboard somewhere, but it gets removed out. It gets removed out by the children, it gets removed out by the grandchildren, and when they look at the photos. Do you know the most important thing that happens? There is a transference of culture. And this is absolutely critical for us as Indians, and especially as people with thousands of years of culture. This transference of the idea of what our parents were at, when they were young, what our grandparents were like when they were young. There is a very beautiful quote, which I would like to repeat. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said that a photograph never grows old. You and I change, people change all through the months and the years, but a photograph always remains the same. How nice to look at a photograph of mother and father taken many years ago. You see them as you remember them, but as people live on, they change completely. That is why I think a photograph can be kind. This is what Einstein had said so many years back, and it's absolutely true today as it was back then. So that brings me to the end of my talk. Thank you for listening in. Do keep in mind that this pandemic situation, the situation that we're all going through, it is going to end soon. It is going to last only for the next couple of months, after which things will change and things will get better. So all the very best, and thank you. Over to you, Nilufar.
Thank you so much, Madhavan, for the wonderful talk. Our next speaker is Mr. Ashok Pahwa, Commercial Business Manager, HP Indigo Digital Press, India, who will speak about how you can innovate your business. Mr. Pahwa, welcome and thank you for being here with us. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nilofar. And believe me, Mr. Madhavan, your top 10 cues which is given to me. Say, I myself is a photographer. I'm an amateur photographer, right? I do click the photographs, but not professionally, as most of the friends which are actually visiting this whole live webinar with us. Uh, I just want to reinforce onto one single element of our own experience last year, right? When the pandemic started in the month of March, and it was slightly fading away in the month of June and July. Apart from the grocery industry, which we know that, which was a part of the everyday business which was happening in India, the industry which came back very strongly after the grocery that we indulge into is the photographic industry, because we know in and out of how many albums that we printed from the month of June to the month of December. And believe me, we are fortunate that we are a part of this industry. As you rightly said, we are a part of an emotional preservance of the memories. At wedding is the biggest event that can happen in Indian culture, right? And we being a part of that Indian culture absolutely make us the part of the critical element of the whole growth story that we have in India. I'll just share my screen and just let me know if you are able to see my screen. Can somebody confirm? I'm still trying to see if somebody can confirm me if they can see my screen. If
Oh, you're a go.
yes,
You're a go. The screen is
yes,
screen is on.
right, great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the confirmation. So what I was talking to you is, we are a part of a beautiful industry, but the hero of this industry, the main director of this industry, is something which is sitting behind this lens, which is sitting behind this camera, which is nothing but a photographer. So we as a company, we always salute the passion, the creativity, the dedication, and the spirit of the photographers who are a part of this huge emotional preservance of a memory industry, or we call it as a wedding industry, right? I sincerely want to respect and give that due thank you to all the photographers which has done a service to the humanity from last 195 years. Yes, 195 years. This is the first photographs which was kind of printed in 1826. Since then, the photographers are actually doing a service to this humanity and taking us to the next level of cultural improvement, the cultural preservance as well. And today, what is happening today is really the photographers are making ordinary people as an extraordinary people. I would put it this way: the couple which is there in the photograph, these are the ordinary couples. They're getting married. This is the big day for them. But what is a photographer doing is making these ordinary people look extraordinary beautiful in the photographs and capturing the right memories for their whole life. Not only to the ordinary people, just look at these celebrities. I just want you to imagine, this lady who is walking the aisle of international film award, and there are no shutter bugs, there are no photographers which is in the frame. Imagine how their life looks like. They feel nothing walking into that aisle. This is the importance that we have as a photographer into our industry per se. This is the role that we play. And as I said, we are blessed, although the time is not right being in India, but we are blessed. We are a part of an Indian culture. We are a part of India per se, where out of 139 crores, 35 crores is the age of the population from 20 to 34, which means this is the age, this is the people in India who is either getting married or going to get married in next 10 to 12 years. So if I say the time span of 10 to 12 years, there is approximately 1.5 crore wedding which happens in India every year. Yes, 1.5 crore wedding happens in India every year. And as I said, we are fortunate that we are a part of this big industry, and this whole growth of this industry will come to me as a service provider. Not only for next 12 years, if you see the next population, which is 0 to 19, we have another 41% of our population which is coming as a business for us after 15 years. So for me, I just want to give this assurance and reassurance to everyone who is a part of this industry, that we are in a right industry and we are in a growth industry, and we will grow together in this business. Now, we know the time is not right, and we know we have a bit of a time with us. So last year, when we were actually in the similar time frame, we wanted to go back and ask many of the photographers, how does printing actually help the photographers per se, right? And we went and met four of the photographers. We had done some of the interviews of the training academies, and what we really came out with beautiful responses, which we categorize into four. One is improves the photography skill, right? So the way it is actually explained to us is, each time you print a photographs in the large size, which is 10 by 15, 13 by 19, or 20 by 30, what you see is the really element of the photos. Is it a good contrast? Is it a nice lighting? And you see the defects of the photos very easily in the photo itself. So what it does to you is that it actually motivates you to improve in your next assignment right from the start itself. So more printing, more analyzing of your own skills in a piece of a paper helps you to actually improve your photography skill. The second one is printing photos actually inspires creativity. This is a beautiful quote which was given to me by one of the photographers, which he said, guys, the day I see a good photographs which is printed on a large canvas or a large photo, piece of a paper, it actually gives me smile on my face. It gives me a boost to my ego, and it inspires me to go out of my comfort zone and do little more and little more next time. So every time you get a good photo, it actually inspires your creativity to the next level. Next is better understanding of your own, the photo shooting style. The moment somebody actually, the photographer, you print your photograph, actually you put your photographic style in a character, right? Somebody, a next photographer can really say, no, this is Mr. X photograph, right? How does it happen is that, once you see that character, you actually see your style, you see your gears, how did you use your gears, your camera, your stands, your lighting, how really you were good in actually your own shooting style and your own the natural ability of taking the exposure to the next level. And more you do it, more and more actually improvement that happens in your the photo techniques itself. And last but not the least is increase the demand for your services or your photographic skills, which means every big photographers, every good and big photographer, Mr. Madhavan said, till date photographers are actually charging 8 lakh rupee plus for a wedding. Now, how do they do it? Because they have their own studio, right? And in their own studio, they actually showcase their creativity to the prospective client in the form of, the coffee table book, a scripted coffee table book, or a wedding album, or a large portrait, or anything which is a proof of the excellence of their services. And what they do in turn is they inspire the whole client to give an assignment to them. So in a nutshell, if the photographer community or a wedding photographer community which is sitting in this forum now, we urge you to actually exercise these four things with you, and we make sure that it helps you to, one, improve your skills, second is to earn more money in your next assignments. Now, the photo or a printed photo is not only good for a photographer as an exercise of an improvement, but it is absolutely necessary, or a emotional attachment that every couple has with with the photographs which is shot during the wedding. We'll just look at this video and then we'll talk about it.
भाभी जी, भाई साहब, हाँ बताइए।
एल्बम वाल्बम छोड़िए ना, हार्ड डिस्क में डाल दीजिए, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है।
हार्ड डिस्क में मिल जाएगा, एक मिनट, ये देखिए।
हर शादी में लाखों कहानियां छुपी होती हैं, उनको ढूंढना ही हमारा काम है। बच्ची की शादी में माँ की आंखों में आंसू ना हो, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता। मगर जहां एक तरफ आंसुओं की बरसात, तो दूसरी तरफ दादी जी की खुराफात। अब हम नहीं देखेंगे तो कौन देखेगा? छुप छुप के कहानियां बनाई जाती हैं भाई साहब। छोटू तो पकड़ा गया, मगर ये तो सब कैरेक्टर हैं। असली कहानी तो यहां बनती है, खत्म होने पे इस यादों की किताब में छपती है।
ऐसी ही यादों की किताब बनेगी आपकी भी। कहाँ सोशल मीडिया हार्ड ड्राइव पे ढूंढते फिरेंगे अपनी कहानी, अपने छोटे छोटे बच्चे को दिखाने के लिए है। तो भाभी जी बनवा दे,
बनवा दीजिए भैया।
मिठाई ला दो।
यादों की किताब बाय HP Indigo।
How beautifully the smart photographers have actually narrated the story to the couple. Right. This is what we want. We want you to really bundle many services around the photos that you actually shoot. And the services that you can add is, of course, designing and the printing of these albums. And believe me, there is no other document, or there is no other document behind a printing album which can actually preserve or depicts or explain the memories which is there in the wedding. Just see these beautiful photos which is printed. Believe me, if this mother and the daughter, they see this photo any time in their life, they can't stop crying. This is the power of the album. Now, what we always look forward is, because we are all in a professional photographic environment, we always want to talk about, how we can collaborate together and grow together in this field. So whenever we get into an assignment, or we want to impress somebody with our assignment, what we always talk about as a photographer, which we always want to do is to capture the highest of the possible details. And with the help of thanks to the camera companies who have actually upgraded the camera technologies very fast in last 5 to 10 years, today there are cameras which are available, the price range of maybe around 20-30 lakh of rupee. They have 100 megapixels of camera. 60 megapixel is become a very common now. The photographers shoot HD or 4K equivalent or UHD kind of a photographs to really capture the details into their services. Now, what happens is, once the moment I capture all those high details, 4K details or HD, UHD details, what next? What do I do with these details now? Right? If I just give it in a pen drive or something, I lose the life which is attached with it. So next thing what we need to do is actually to print it. And here we come into picture. Right, this is the new technology or a new piece of a printing equipment which we have, or a photo lab printing equipment that we have introduced to the market, which is the HD imaging. Right, here we print the double the resolution that we used to print few years before. Now how does it help is it actually gives you very high image details that you have captured in the form of the skin tones, in the form of the flat tint and the composite gray scales that you have, or if you're an outdoor, the kind of a high details reproduction that comes to in a landscape. And the way we do it actually is printing your beautiful captured photographs in this beautiful piece of a photo printing equipment. We will definitely get into detail on this when we visit the COE with Steven. But for the time being, we say this is HD shooting and HD printing. Right. This is what the message that we want to give it to you. Not only to the quality, which is the first part of an element of any professional photograph. The second element that you always want to capture is the colors. More and more colors is what everybody wants to capture in their in their photography, especially when it is an outdoor. Definitely you want to capture the nature, the color of nature. But when it comes to wedding, you are restricted to the environment which is created by the couple. And believe me, the generation that you are dealing with today is the millennials. They want everything perfect, they want everything different, they want everything unique. And in this experience of making everything different and unique, what they do is the moment they actually decide on the wedding day, next day they start looking forward to their outfits. And being a millennial, they try and seek help from everyone. They have a fashion enthusiast in a family. We always have this chachi, masi, cousin who will always give the fashion tips to bride and a groom. And then in turn, some of the couple actually go outside and take the services of the external so-called the designers. And then they invest a lot of time in Google, a lot of time into market, a lot of time with all these fashion enthusiasts, and then reach out to a one particular dress which is the dress of the day. And they spend a huge amount of the money, sometime a lakhs of money to actually onto this. And then they want to say something is mera wala pink and mera wala green. This is what they express when they get onto what they want. And the comparison is of course to the celebrities, which is which is the driving force for all these new millennials as well. Right. But as a fashion photographer or as a wedding photographer, when I actually go to this wedding, you see wow pinks and wow greens. And what really happens after the shooting is done is something which is slightly different. Right, this different is you actually are challenged to print those pinks and green. But here again we come into picture, right, with all the inputs which is given by the major photographers 2 years 3 years back. We have come out with something which is called as introducing the vivid colors, right, which is the vivid pink and the vivid green. These are the two colors which help you to capture the vividness into the pictures that you have, whether it is green color, it is pink color, or it is blue color, or it is red color. And believe me, you will experience this when you print your beautifully captured photographs with these two colors. Not only to the pink and green, this is what the pink and green actually does. Just for the interest of time, I'll actually jump to the next new ink that we are launching to the photo industry. And this is nothing but a silver ink. Yes, this is silver ink which we are introducing to the photo market now. And with this silver ink, what you can do is you can actually produce the real metallic colors. Not only the gold metallic, but the rest of the metallic color also that comes to play in your photographs, which we are unable to print today. All right. So this is the next big thing which will happen, along with pink and green and the silver in the photo industry. And then, of course, if you are an outdoor or you are into an art, you want to play beautiful black and white photographs. For those for the photographers, we have something which is a professional light black with us. Right. And this things actually gives me the perfect grayscale where I can print the black and white photographs to the perfect level. This is the power of the colors that we have as an indigo, right? But as a consumer, as Mr. Madhavan was saying and Nilofer was saying, as a consumer, now if I'm a consumer, after a few years, when I actually see this wedding album or my first birthday album or a second birthday album, I feel I feel depressed. I really hate to see my good photographs which is decolorized, which is yellow, which is eaten up by I don't know who and who, and we have to really make it work for us. No, this is not something that we are going to offer to the industry now. This is not something that we are going to offer to these millennials couples which is getting married today. What we are going to offer to them is a piece of a wedding album, or the beautiful wedding album which can actually last for 200 years. Yes, as Mr. Madhavan has already narrated, this 200 years. Now, this 200 years, what does that mean to me? It means to me is that not only I share my wedding album or my culture or my ego that when I was young, I was like this, and this is what I did in my wedding. I want to share it with my kids, not only to the kids but to my grandchildren, and if age permits, I want to show it to the next few generation, even if I'm not there. So 200 years of a life of photo or a color is a huge value that we as a photographer can actually share it with our clients, and not only to the life of a print only. One thing that we always feel is, whenever we have a family gathering, or we have 4 or 5 people sitting and we are opening up a wedding album, the first thing that comes to us is the fear of a kid's spilling over water, or the damages which can happen with the tea or something. And believe me, we are out of it now. With the help of HP Indigo printed albums, we are out of it. Let's see this beautiful story first, and then I'll narrate the story of this photographer. uh, let us see the video first, please.
In our top story, rain in Chennai has literally drowned out few days, has caused flooding in many water has entered hundreds of households.
Get waterproof prints on HP Indigo. Preserve your most precious memories for life.
Yes, this is the real story. This is the beautiful story narrated by photographers to us. All right. This couple, this happened in Chennai just in 2015 after the floods. And this couple, he called up a photographer. He said, "Sir, we want to meet you." And whenever we as a photographer, we get a call from a prospective client or the previous client, the one thing that comes to us is there is something wrong which has happened. And this, but hesitantly, this guy said yes. And this couple actually went to the photographer with a sweets and the bucket of the good flowers into their hands, and they went and they said thank you. Right. And this guy was this photographer was he just could not understand. He said, "Sir, what really happened?" And then they narrated this whole story, and believe me, after this story, both the couple and the photographers were in tears. They realized the value of the emotions which is captured by our photographers and printed in a beautiful album which survived when everything was in a problematic space. So believe me, we have this technology with us. You have this facility with us where you can really help your customers. Now, in the last, I just want to put one more, a suggestion to the whole photographic, community that we are working together or collaborating together is something which is called as a customer's lifetime value or a CLV concept. Every other industry, they actually follow this CLV concept. And what does that mean is that how much is the money which is spent by a one particular customer in your products and services during their lifetime, right? And many industries gauge in a different fashions, but in the photo industry we never had this kind of an experience which is measured against the number of clients that we cater to, right? And believe me, this can change the game for us whenever we have a slightly more tough time like a pandemic, which has hit us, and we don't really have a big weddings with us, but we have a platter which is full of other services that can be bundled to the same set of customers who can actually give me a better share of a wallet. I'll give you an example. In as Mr. Madhavan said, we have a tough time where 50 people cannot really participate into a wedding today, and out of this 50 we have 25 which is coming from a bride side, 25 which is coming from a groom side, and leaving the close family members, we have almost none of the other relatives which can participate. So what we are trying to deliver as a services to this new couples which is getting married to this tough time is a three kind of an albums. The first kind of an album is a big size album, which is 30 by 40 size spread album, which can be a part of the beautiful a big house in Ludhiana, in Delhi, in Chennai, and a part of their drawing room, which helps their ego to display in the form of an album. The second set of an album which we are printing is the 14 by 20 by 28 or 14 by 20 size of an album, which is thin, lightweight albums, which a couple can carry to their workplace. And the third set of an album, which is a new introduction, is actually the miniature albums, which is printed in a closed book size of 10 by 14, or we call it as a 14 by 20 size, a spread size. And the number of albums that are printing is close to around 50. Yes, 50 miniature albums are getting printed, and these miniature albums are actually being sent to the relatives who participated into the event or a wedding, and the relatives who could not participate. And when the relatives who did not participate, they get this wedding album, believe me, they live the wedding without even participating into the wedding. And this is an experience which is done by many of the couples now. Beyond this is an idea of creating a larger revenue from a similar client. Apart from this, we have many other applications, because this is a 20 by 30 size of a new print which we are printing now. You can create many other services along with it. You can create calendars, birthday cards, stickers, the school photography, portraits. There are many other services that you can actually offer before the wedding and after the wedding to your prospective clients. With this, I'm leaving it as a food of thought for all the members who are actually a part of this live show. And I thank you for your patience listening, and I hope I did justice to the 20 minutes which was given to me by adding some value to you. Thank you so much, and back to Nilofer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pahwa, for your insightful words. To demonstrate what Madhavan and Mr. Pahwa have said, Stephen Chow, Regional Solution Architect Manager, HP Indigo Digital Press, APJ region, will now take us through a live walkthrough at the Center of Excellence right from Singapore.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for staying with us here. I'm live in Singapore. My name is Stephen Chow, the solution architect for our Asia Pacific region. Here behind me, you are seeing the actual device, the printing device that we are producing our prints for you. I mean, I understand you are all the professional photographers who wish to make sure that all your prints that is taken from all your high definition HD cameras are able to print out with all the high definition prints also. So behind me here is actually the HP Indigo 12,000 HD digital press, which can print out a very high definition printout onto a 20 by 30 size of any paper or substrate media. I will walk you through in some details later on, but I just want to illustrate what Ashok have mentioned in his presentation. What we can do is really giving you the opportunity to give your customer the best memory of their life, making sure that they can have the nice printout of their weddings, the memories of their children, the memories of all their lifestyle. So I like to want to make sure that I want to highlight three key important points. Our press are able to print on the HD definition, meeting your requirements because you are actually taking high definition prints. We are also able to print with photo inks, specially designed so that your colors that printed out will be perfect and matching to what you actually captured on your camera. And last but not least, we are able to print on many different substrates, many different paper types, even synthetic substrates where it's non-tearable, waterproof, as what we have shared with you in some of the videos that we actually show up to you. Before that, I believe Ashok have mentioned that to you before. Our press can print with ink permanency with a very high 200 years ink permanence. So this is something that is done through our by someone else, the third-party research company, Wilhelm Research Institute, and they actually proven it by testing it, making sure that this actually lasts longer than any other prints compared to all the traditional silver highlights, all this and that. So this really give us the confidence. By the way, this report is done 10 years ago. So it's not something that it's just in a way just came up with. So we still hold these records, and we are promising our customers to making sure that your memories stays for life, keeping it for your children, for your grandchildren even. Okay, before I want to move on and talk about all the prints, I'd like to invite Edson, right, where he will actually now able to show us some of the beautiful prints from our customers. Many of them are from India, and they are able to show different applications of what Ashok has been mentioning. Essence, can you help?
Hello, welcome. We will start on application. Okay, good. So just now Ashok has shown you some of the slides of what you can do on those applications. What I want to highlight some of them over here is that no, it's not just wedding photo books. You can also collective of those images into produce into consumer smaller size book. For example, this is something new that we are now customers are doing in some countries. Manak, like created a stand and allow customers to print 10 to 15 of them pictures, and they can change it every day they want. Today I can put my son photo, next day I can put my daughter photo, or behind is another picture you can put on. So this is a Manak style of kind of application that you can just easily paste onto a calendar stand, right? You can use that. And then in some countries, because they also want to go into smaller size photo book, especially now in COVID period, a lot of people have taken a lot of pictures. They're putting 10 pictures of this inside the box and create a Manak frame, right? A Manak frame on it, and easily can change the picture every day you want, anytime you want also. There are 3 different sizes. We also have customers doing frames, right? They take tiling on the walls, many different pictures printed on canvas, mounted on wooden frame. You can put on walls with different pictures, tiling up your walls with different photographs. This is a unique applications. Not only big size photo books that you can see, right, but also smaller size of a photo book that can create easily. And once you reach 60 pictures, 100 pictures, create a photo book like this easily. Children can also draw stories and create storybooks and photo books, right? It's not only just on photographs. Over here, we want to show you is that India, of course, is very popular, as we say that, for wedding photo books, which has very nice wedding pictures printed on waterproof substrates that will last for 200 years with light silent magenta, vivid pink, vivid green images. Definitely, we want to show you also that the vivid colors over here, if you make some comparison, can you push the cam further in? So you can see one side is actually 4-color, and one side is actually vivid colors. Then you can see the big difference. You can show up the colors of pink and the green colors, the blue, the green colors, right? The face image. And then let me show you one more pictures. Whether can you see the green one? Oh, okay. You cannot see. And later part, I think Steve will show you silver. I will not show you silver pictures. Photograph of silver, right? And people may talk about lifetime, wedding, children's book. What about end of life? Right? In Japan, now Japan, Korea, some part of a country, they're starting to build the end of life storybook. So the collective of the collective of the photos of the people, and then built into end of life photo books for that, right? During the funeral or wake, they are giving to some of the loved one and customers, and all not customers, the friends, right? And come over this side is that we show you a B2 photo book, which is printed with Vivian. Look at the finishing they put on, right? The finishing on it, B2 size, vivid pink, and vivid green, right? This can be only done with indigo with the vivid colors, large size photo book like this. And of course, I think you also seen that some photo books has very nice embellishment finishing onto the covers, right? With all the nice crystals. And inside of these photo books, there's also very nice pictures of it. So it's a wide range of photo books as you see from here, whether it's a Maniac, a postcard size to a very large B2 size. There's a lot of opportunity, there are a lot of ways to do photo books. I want to pass it back to Stephen and you can talk a little bit more on that.
Thank you, Exxon. Thank you for passing it back to me. What you have seen is what is already done. So in order to just show you how this is created, we will print some of the samples directly from the press. So the press has started to print some of the jobs, and you will see from the output tray, we are printing a 20 by 30 output printout, and it will be actually printing on different paper, different substrates. Here you are seeing some posters that are printed out in 20 by 30. All are beautifully done, printing with what we call the vivid pink, vivid green ink. I'll explain that in a bit moment. And these are able to actually excite all the photographers and the people who are actually receiving it, because your blues, your greens, your pink are so unique in the printing world that's so difficult for us to reproduce it from the printout itself. So these are something that very challenging for all the printers in the world. But because you are the expert, you are the people who really love the colors. So all the blues, all the greens you can see now are really generating out very beautiful pictures out from the print itself. Here you are seeing that I'm printing on black substrate. Okay, with black substrates, we are not only printing 4 colors on the paper, we are printing a base white color, and on top of it, we are printing our CMYK, the colors onto the on top of the white. So you create a very beautiful prints out, even with the printout. Currently now you are looking at is actually printing on canvas. So I'll pull out one of the canvas now. So this is actually a canvas, right? And it's used for many different applications. Especially today, we are not talking only printing for a photo album. You can use this for a wall art, wall deco. That's very commonly now. You can easily hang it on to the wall. So besides printing on paper, this is possible now with our HP Indigo. And now I'm only printing on 3 different substrate. We can print on many different substrate, color substrate like yellow, right? This is a nice wedding invitation cards that we use for our customers also. Okay, let me just show you some of the print qualities. So this is the print qualities. Let me just bring it up to you so you can see it. Okay, the bright blues and the colors, the hairlines, the sky, all these are printed with our HD high definition laser writing head. And also colors that are very stunning. So here you can see a very beautiful wedding couples printed in onto a canvas with a very nice background of blacks. We can use photo inks to make sure that all these are printed out in a very high quality for all our customer. Um, we did mention about the silver. So we do have a smaller size of the printer which print on 13 by 19. And these are some of the silver output that can be produced out from our press. You can see how nice the metallic gold is printed out just using the silver, mainly because our inks are very, very metallic, and you can also add on the CMYK colors on top of the silver to make it a metallic colors. So you can actually produce something like all these stunning colors that are actually able to show it out your pictures in a very metallic looks and feel. Just for your information, these are the whole palettes of colors that can be reproduced by using a silver and the CMYK inks on top of our silver inks. So this produces a very nice, unique metallic colors for all your photo prints that are able to use to really wow your families, your friends, your the memories of all the wedding couples. I want to move to where we have actually talk about the inks, and I show you where how our inks are actually printed on. So one of the unique solution that we have is that we actually has 7 ink station. So in a normal printing engine, you will normally will only use the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black for any printing devices, printing your RGB colors. So it does limit in terms of how the color gamut or how the color is reproduced out from the print engine itself. But because we have this uniqueness of our print engine, we support 7 different colors. So beside the standard 4 colors, you can see here we added the premium white, and here we can also print with vivid pink and green. This is to enhance the whole print color so that you will see what we are reproducing out is what you are actually seeing your pictures on the monitor itself. Very close to your blues, very close to your green and your pinks on those saris that the ladies are worn, or the gown that's worn by the groom. So beside that, I just want to highlight to you, this is not all the inks that we can do. Here is the whole list of inks that can be changed and interchanged with all these ink station. It allows us to print even the very bright orange violets, okay? And we also have special inks like transparent inks, invisible inks, right? To really create a very attractive applications from all this specialties printing. I'll talk about the photo inks that I mentioned just now. So you can see we have light inks. For photographers, you know, printing on the gradations of the magenta, the gradation of the black is always very challenging. So we have many of our customers utilizing all these photo inks and create a very smooth skin tone, very smooth, gentle light skyline, and also on shadows. So all these are able to reproduce it out now with our HP Indigo digital press, printing with 7 inks on the press itself. Beside that, we even have fluorescent inks that are actually able to grow out in the dark. So there are customers of us who prints like me. What I'm wearing now is actually a fluorescent inks that printed on a T-shirt. Okay, this is done through Indigo on our smaller press, the 13 by 19 inches press, which we are actually printing fluorescent inks on a heat transfer substrate and print it onto the T-shirt itself. So for inks, we are actually able to do all this. I mentioned about the smaller presses. So this is the silver ink. So this ink is actually used for our smaller presses, and this is actually the HP Indigo silver, and then this is actually containing metallic inks inside, okay, so that we can reproduce it. Oh, my son is bringing the t-shirt to me. So this is the t-shirt that I'm talking about. So you can have very beautiful t-shirts printed out from our press and do a heat transfer over it. Um, that's it really from me in terms of how we talk to you. I'm moving to the front cam and just want to finish it up with the last thing about our discussion today. So you're looking at all the technology of our press and what it can actually reproduce for you, making sure that what you have captured on the cameras are able to print, and not only able to print out, you can print out on all the different kind of substrate and keeping the memories long enough to give all your children, your grandchildren, the memories that you really hope for all the wedding couples. Last but not least, I'm not very sure you saw this technology is slightly different from all the previous technology that you may be very familiar with. We do not use silver, actual silver, right? To print out. We call it silver highlight, right? So they actually use actual silver, and those actually now have some sort of a green concern, having some environmental issues. So we are actually very green machines. Our manufacturing plant has all um, the certifications to make sure that we are carbon free, and we actually are now printing in a very short runs. So there are very minimum wastage. So on top of just making sure we have all the print copies, we are not destroying the earth. We are not creating a so-called a non-green environment for our futures generation. So we as a company of HP are actually making sure that whatever that we produce, we are also following the rules of keeping the environment green. That's it for my presentation. I hope this is short enough to actually explain to you or show you our HP Indigo digital press. Okay, back to you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen and Edson, for that wonderful explanation and walkthrough. Following these enlightening talks, I'm certain our viewers have some questions for us. So let's dive in. The first question is about family albums. A lot of people from my family and friend circles have refused to get their albums printed. Instead, they have asked the photographers to send the material over digitally, which they have shared with their loved ones. Is there a possibility that people now will opt for more digital files as opposed to an album, as it's quicker and cost effective? Madhavan?
No, I think Mr. Madhavan is on mute.
Sorry, my bad. I was on mute. So Neerav, let me get that question. As a photographer, I spend on an average of 24,000 rupees per year on digital backups. Okay, I have got about 8 terabytes of photographs which I need to preserve. As a photographer, I have that volume and I need to preserve that. And on an annual basis, I spend about 24,000 rupees on ensuring that I don't lose any of my data. And let me tell you something about digital, data in digital form. For me, my photographs are extremely important. Okay, but if at some time, these digital backups and these hard drive go to somebody else, the value to somebody else, because they are not going to have the time to go through my thousands of photos, they are not going to have the time to look at everything. The value to them of my digital backup is zero. Okay, so basically, I want you to understand this one essential thing, Neerav, is that when you have images that are important to you just as much it is important to somebody else. It should be printed and in print form. Inside a hard drive, inside a pen drive, inside your Google Cloud storage, or inside any cloud storage, just remember one thing: out of sight is out of mind. Which means that nobody is going to have the time to go through everything that you have and select the important pictures. So when you have important pictures, make prints. That is what I would say. It is not cost effective or cheaper or particularly quicker because you're going to spend time, a lot of time making those backups, spending money on it, and spending time on retrieving information from it, on going back to pictures that you like and retrieving it. It's very difficult. So my suggestion is, yes, there is a reason why people have these digital backups, but for important pictures, print is the right way to go.
Can I
Yeah,
add
I
one
think
more
I'll just
point? Sorry,
yeah.
Ashok, maybe you go first.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay. So I'll just add on to what Mr. Madhavan has said. Say what really has changed, Mr. Nirav, is that if we go back to the days of the camera rolls, we had a possibility of shooting 3, 4, 5 rolls per event, right? And we did not have a luxury of creating 2,000, 5,000 photographs per event. Now, what really happened today is I'm actually doing 2,000 photographs or exposures per event. Now, all those 2,000 photographs are not important for this couple or the guys who are doing it. Out of this, still there are 50, 100, 200 photographs, which means a lot, which depicts the right emotion of the event. And believe me, when you actually print in a form of an album and give it to them, they will never ever ask next time to you that give the digital files to me, not the printed files. This is what we have experienced, with many of our photographers telling it to us.
So my point is also looking at the digital file. Most of the time, how you are viewing on it, you view it on your mobile, which is very common nowadays. And how big is a mobile phone, right? You compare to say we print it out on a 20 by 30 photo books. It's something you touch, you feel, you keep the memories, you really remembers it. So putting onto a social media, for example, for a short while, it does have that sort of a memory, and then keeping you, for example, that few days, 2 days, 3 days of attention of people looking at it. But after that, there will be another thousands of photographs shared by many others, friends and social medias that put on it. So it's not something that you are very in touch with, and with a physical items holding on your hand, I believe that memories will actually last. You can keep on your cupboard or drawers whatsoever, and 5 years later down the road, or 10 years later down the road, your children pick it up and pull it up. This is the moment where they remember how my father, how my parents get married. So this is, I think, very 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 much important.
So, our next question is about the pandemic. Um, how has the pandemic affected HP and labs? And when do you see this issue resolving?
Okay, so I'll answer it on behalf of HP. When it is talking about HP and HP, so we have a HP and we have an HP labs as well. I think, but when it is coming from a particular photographer, it is more about HP Indigos and the color labs, which is actually considered as a part of the service provider. So as I stated earlier, last year, when there was a shutdown from 23rd March to the first week of the June, we had a complete shutdown with most of the photographers as well as to the color labs. But the moment the lockdown was lifted up, we had a huge backlog and the print which came back to the color labs, and within next 4 to 5 months we actually printed more than what we were expecting to print after the pandemic or during the pandemic. So Mr. Praveen, I would put it this way that as grocery and food is necessity for somebody to live in. For an Indian culture, weddings are a part of our life, and printing the wedding albums is going to stay here for a very long time. And this is what our experience is. I hope I answer your question, Praveen.
The next question comes from Nimisha. She's asking, as a photographer, how do I match the colors on my screen to the bigger gamut of printing with the new colors? How will I be able to see the difference on my monitor?
I can
Yeah,
help
maybe
in
Stephen can
this.
help. Yes.
Correct. So, uh, what actually we have created is all these automation tools. I'm not going to too much details. The term we use is the ICC profile. So what we have done is we have created all these standard profiles that keep onto our print server. So your files when comes in, they will realize and they know how we can actually making sure it will match to the colors that you want. That means basically your sRGB color profile that is generally all your photographers is prepared for, and then we are able to print this matching as close as possible to the color that you are looking at the monitors. I must say we are definitely not able to reproduce every single colors that is on the screen because as what all we know, the RGB is always a wider color gamut than the printing devices can do. But that's the reason why we are coming out with all these special inks, right? We are printing with vivid pink, vivid green, we are printing with orange, violets, right? We are printing with fluorescent inks, we are printing with silver, just to make sure that all these uh, very, very bright, very, very glossy, very metallic colors are able to reproduce out again for our customers. I hope I answered that for you.
Um, Thank you so much, Stephen. So this is a question that I personally have, and I would like to know. As you've mentioned that there are 200 years of print life, does that mean the albums can survive extreme conditions as well, or is it laminated so that the
So
prints are scratch resistant?
we base it on a specific testing. So the reports has actually a very clear one. There is 200 years if the albums is closed and keep nicely maybe in your drawer in your cupboard, and you can pick it up 200 years ago, 200 years later, and you still keep all the colors. And then it will be shorter if, for example, exposed directly under the sun, and if it's not. So there are different testing that we have done in terms of storage. So these are where we actually are able to provide it. This is actually a research company that provide all this data to us, and we are comparing not only on Indigo technology. If the reports is ever 7-page reports and has all the different paper that is being used or even different technologies that's been used by all other printing devices, and they will show you the number of years that can stays on under the glass, under the UV light, and under a nice storage album.
Yeah, maybe Nilofer, I'll add on to what Stephen has said. Your question was very specific to, the calamities as well as the endurance of a paper with lamination, without lamination, if I put it this way. So we do have this test which is done with a, Felix Scholarly photo paper, which we don't need to laminate. This paper stays itself for 200 years, and the colors that we print on an with an indigo, it stays for 200 years. That's where we say, photo and color stays for 200 years. Still, there is always a practice by the industry by using different varieties of other medias that may not sustain for a longer life than than what is expected on a Felix Scholarly photo. So they do laminate all those papers to save it from maybe from a weather or the the water, or maybe the hot tea which is put on top of them. But Felix Scholarly photo, yes, we this beautiful paper survives with beautiful inks of an indigo for 200 years. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok. So the last question that we have from the day is from Rohit. He's asking, for the large 20 to 30 by print album, what is the proper resolution needed for the photographs to be printed full size?
I can help on this. We generally recommend as good as like 300 resolution. 300 DPI resolution is good enough. We handle it very well. But if you are able to give us in 600 DPI, we can still print them very, very well. Okay, but it is actually exceed the resolution that's needed to print on. and we can actually try, because our RIP handles the file depends on the resolution. So if you have a very large resolutions, it may not even produce the good quality. So it doesn't really require you to create a very high resolution DPI on your files. 300 is good enough. If not, maybe 600 is something that you can actually reproduce for you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pahwa, Madhavan, and Stephen, for your lovely explanations. Before we conclude the session, I would like to call Mr. Appadurai A, Country Manager, HP Indigo Digital Presses, to summarize today's session in his own inimitable style. Thank you so much for being here with us. Over to you, Mr. Appadurai.
Good evening, namaste, vanakkam, sat sri akal. Absolute pleasure to be associated with Better Photography, one of the numero magazine in the country, and to be sharing the platform with Madhavan Pillai, who's a great friend and an amazing human being. Every time I feel low, when I speak to him, I really get charged up. He's the amount of service that he's done to the photography industry in India, unbelievable. I'm the only salesman out of all the good people who spoke, right? So I'm going to not only kind of summarize, but also add my own points. I'm going to do it in less than 5 minutes. Uh, One, the first thing that I wanted to share, I'm assuming that most of you who are on this call are wedding photographers, Aam Aadmi wedding photographers, I call it. If you're not, if you're one of those wildlife people, we love you. Please print more. But my address is going to be to the wedding photographers here, right? You have a very unique profession. And you know who your competitor is? Not a competitor. There is a villain in your life. And the name of the villain is Pandit Ji, who basically says out of the 365 days which is available in a year, he says only Muhurt days are 100. He basically gets you out of business for 265 days, okay, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, that's the industry that you have to live with, which basically means like other businesses where I just have to invest more money, keep producing more to increase my revenue. You cannot do it as a wedding photographer. That is when this thing becomes more important. Ashok was talking about customer life cycle value. I would actually give it a different dimension. There's something called a share of wallet, which is I can do only so many shoots in a month or a year, but I need to get more value from the same shoots that I do, which means I have to get more money from the wallet of the customer. The only way, gentlemen and ladies, the way it is done is making your product more tangible as in more physical, right? I think that is extremely important. And that is exactly what Madhavan was discussing. My colleague Ashok was discussing, Stephen was talking about as well. We take great pleasure in revolutionizing this industry in the last 10 years. Look, if you were a wedding photographer 10 years ago, after the shoot, after you do all the design, you probably waited for a few weeks to get the wedding album. Today, if the whole industry is working in a 24-hour to 48-hour cycle, I think a lot of credit goes to what HP has done through the industry, through the labs. We have 250 plus labs which operate in the country who use the HP Indigo presses. We've revolutionized because time is money, right? Time is money. Second is everything which we were showing you just now around the vivid pink and the vivid green and the special colors that we're introducing. Believe me, we are a company which believes in innovating from the back, in the sense we go to the consumer level to start our innovations. I personally hosted 3 color scientists from our Israel factory for about 4 months in India, just attending close to about 50 weddings. I used to be very smart and lean like Madhavan before. Now I'm fat because 40 weddings in about 4 months with 3 Israelis. The problem is in Delhi, it's all okay because you eat in a wedding, they make you dance and you sweat it out. But in South, there's no dance, right? So I became actually fat. So our innovations really started when we went to the consumers, understood the kind of clothing which are used, why it is being used, the LEDs which are being used there, right? Based on which we innovate our inks for the market, right? That's how the company is. We invest $1 billion in R&D, research and development, and we've got extremely special inks which will make a lot of sense to you, like plus the HD and other factors. Because sometimes I feel when you have this mark and the high resolution, super high resolution cameras, and then you drive in technologies that doesn't really get the benefits of the cameras that you use, that's a pity. So we can make a tangible difference with all the products that we make. That's one. Tangibility is a very, very, very big factor, right? In those exact same lines, I want to share an example from the pandemic. I was talking to one of the consumer, and this in this case, he's a celebrity. He said, "Look, on a normal day, if I had my wedding, I would have had 1,000 people, and today I cannot have 1,000 people because Madhavan said 25 is what is allowed, right? Look, there's an anti-logic here. This guy actually came and gave me a clue, saying, look, on the other side, an Indian average wedding, 400 people is the average number of people who attend a wedding, middle class, upper middle class. That's the average. This guy was possibly getting 1,000 people. Now that 900 people are not going to come and 950 people are not going to come, if you save a plate of 800 rupees, I'm sorry, you guys are all artists. You would never talk economics like this to your customers, but I'm a salesman. I want to give this point to you. If you save 800 rupees a plate and you save 900 people from coming to the wedding, that money could be spent on photography. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, it is happening. What this guy actually did is he made this beautiful album for himself, and then he actually made a miniature, a bonsai version of it, and sent it to the mama, chacha, masi, anybody, atta, mama, whoever could not attend. He printed 125 copies of this book in a miniature form and sent it to them. Believe me, the amount of difference it makes for the masi who did not attend the wedding because of Corona, bloody Corona, she was thrilled. And she now goes to Facebook to put this, right? Ladies and gentlemen, you are photographers. The only way you can make more money with only 100 moves is by offering extra services like this. So keep this in mind. It is extremely important that you monetize everything. Monetizing becomes a very tough job for the artists, which you usually are. But in this guy, consumer actually gave an opportunity to do this for you, right? So keep this in mind. That's around the pandemic. And the other thing which Stephen was talking about is green technology, right? A lot of the times now we see that your decisions or your payments are being made by the actual couple itself, who are the young people, who are the 25, 26, 30 people, right? Anytime you go and tell them this is green, they would just go bonkers. I'll just give you a statistics which you can use. If you were printing this wedding album in the old technology, for whatever amount of silver that you would have used, silver is obtained by mining, you would have to dug 8 meters underneath the ground to get the amount of silver that is required to be printing in an album. Now that 8 meters of ground and earth is what we have saved by printing on the HP Indigo technology. Remember this, say this to your consumers. It'll make a big difference to the way you pitch things, right? Now that's around the sustainability. And look, we will be very, very happy to host you at our demo centers in Chennai. We have 250 customers who use it, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, literally to the point to point, and from Kutch to Calcutta, or sorry, Guwahati. We have presses. We have 250 presses. Anytime you need, reach out to us through Better Photography. We would be happy to share all the works in physical form with our labs, which use the HP Indigo technology. And with that, I actually want to end saying, look, pandemic will end, will have to end. Remember two things: 50% of the weddings got postponed for the next year. Okay, so next year the panditjis are going to give only 100 days of more. So be careful now. Start thinking how you're going to make more money, because 50% of weddings are going to be extra next year. Second, for the 50% weddings which are happening today, use opportunities like this miniature album, increase your share of wallet, and happy photography. Thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Appadurai. With this segment, we conclude the first talk of the Virtual Photo Summit Colors of India 2021. I would like to thank all our speakers, Mr. Pahwa, Mr. Appadurai, Madhavan, Stephen, and Edson, for sharing their insight. I would also like to thank our partners, HP Indigo, Redington, and Better Photography. However, this is just the beginning. The virtual photo summit will continue in 4 languages over the next few days. On 6th of May in English, on 11th in Marathi, on 15th in Gujarati, and on the 18th in Hindi at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Better Photography's Facebook and YouTube pages. In addition to this, please also let me conclude the session with the announcement of a photography contest, HP Indigo's Colors of India. The contest has 5 unique themes, each representing an aspect of the country and our time: wedding photography, travel photography, baby shower, lockdown diaries, and birthdays. The contest is open to all residing in India with no entry fees and with some fabulous prizes to be won. To submit your images, please visit the link displayed on the screen. That brings us to the end of this session. Thank you for watching. Please stay with us. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pahwa. Thank you,
Thank
Nilofer,
you.
for that wonderful introductions and the conclusion. Thank you.